Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Omaha Tony, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And we are super excited because this is a College World Series edition of the Vol Bros. You know, it's really neat. Already this calendar year, we've gotten to do a Elite Eight preview with men's basketball. Now we're getting to do a College World Series show about baseball. And the hope is this fall we'll be doing a uh, college football playoff episode. So very, very exciting. Rustin, what do you think about this weekend? What are you looking for tomorrow night?
Has Florida State announced who's pitching?
I haven't seen an announcement. I'll check real quick.
I mean, honestly, I think it comes down to whoever the starting pitcher is. And I know that sounds crazy that I think all of it could ride on one person, but out of their top two pitchers, I think one doesn't bode well for us, and one has really been getting hit a lot lately. So there's if they start the left-hander Jamie Arnold, that concerns me. I'm not sure that we can hit him well. He has been lights out recently. He doesn't allow many home runs. He's 11-3 on the season. Opponents only hit 216 against him. He's really good. The other guy, the guy who's been their Friday starter all year, Carson Dorsey, in my opinion, he's just not very good. He leaves a lot of balls up in the zone. He gives up a lot of home runs. Opponents hit almost 300 against him. I would love to see him. If they start him and stay with their typical rotation, I think we beat Florida State pretty handedly. If they start Jamie Arnold, I think we're in for a dogfight.
They have not posted anything on their Twitter account yet. However, Elijah said they are starting their ace, the really good one.
The left-hander?
Elijah said, Vols by 50, I don't care who we play. Elijah, you know which one? You know the name of the gentleman?
Or actually, Carson Dorsey's left-handed also, but Jamie Arnold is the good one.
So here's my thing, and I was thinking about when I'm going to share the bracket here on the screen. I mean, essentially, just like Elijah said, it's Arnold is who's pitching. Welcome Irby said, hopefully he get his pitch count up, and UConn got to him.
Yeah, so what he just said has a ton of validity. If you can get into Florida State's bullpen, their pitching staff is not very good. They don't have a whole lot of depth after those top two starters. So if you can get into their bullpen, you can do a lot of damage.
So as we look at this bracket here, I mean, everybody needs to remember it's essentially just two 4-team double elimination tournaments. It's two 4-team regionals, basically. And the winner of each tournament, 4-team tournament, plays each other in a best 2 out of 3 series for the national championship. Now, on the top half of the bracket where Tennessee is, it is Tennessee and 3 ACC teams. On the bottom half of the bracket, it is 3 SEC teams and 1 ACC team, NC State. So on the bottom half of the bracket, you got Kentucky against NC State and Texas A&M against Florida. Now, I will say this. Everybody was concerned about being the number 1 overall seed. Well, the number 1 overall seed has helped us again in the College World Series because of the 2 4-team brackets, we are in the better one as far as timing of the games. Because the way this is going to play out, if you are in the top half of the bracket, which we are, then you get 1 extra day's rest on Monday, June 17th. Because these 4 teams up top play their first 2 rounds on Friday, Sunday. the 4 teams on the bottom of the bracket play their first 2 rounds on Saturday, Monday. Then the losers bracket final for both halves of the bracket, game 9 and game 10, are Tuesday. And so all the teams on the bottom half of the bracket, when they come back to play the championship series of their bracket on that Wednesday, the bottom half of the bracket will have one less day of rest than the top half will, because nobody in the top half plays on Monday and everybody on the bottom half plays on Monday. So even that has set up well for Tennessee as far as days of rest during the tournament. And so we're going to talk about that here in just a second. We got some other comments coming through, but we're going to talk about these 4 teams that essentially, really the only 3 teams that matter in Tennessee's opinion right now are North Carolina, Virginia, and Florida State. That's it. I mean, you don't even have to worry about the other half of the bracket if you don't take care of your half of the bracket. So we're going to talk about this half and possible pitching, set up for Tennessee. Let's see. Tennessee Junior said, as far as getting Arnold's pitch count up, he said battle through, foul off a lot of pitches, for sure, absolutely. What was it? Christian Moore had a 9-pitch at bat during the Super Regional the other day. Something like that. It was just awesome. If you get some of those in there, yeah, that pitch count goes up real quick. Absolutely. Tony said, let's see. Hey, welcome, Tony. Good to have you. He said, I know it's irrelevant tomorrow, but I'm still concerned about Drew Beam starting second game. He's got to be better than he has been lately. I will say this, and so this will kind of give away something I was going to ask later. Rustin, one thing I was going to ask you tonight was of the 3 other teams in our half of the bracket, which team do you want to face the least? And for me, well, go ahead. You answer first, and then I'll give you my.
Go ahead. No, my answer is long. You can go ahead.
Well, for me, the team I want to face the least is Florida State. And unfortunately, that's who we're playing right off the bat. The reason that I would want to face them the least is because of these 3 other teams in this 4-team bracket, Florida State is the only other team that can possibly try to hit the ball as well as Tennessee. Florida State's overall batting average is 7th in the country. And so, we're number 1, and I believe they're number 7 in team batting average. And so, of anybody in this half of our bracket, Florida State's the only team that can match bats with us. You don't score 24 runs in a super regional game on a fluke. They can hit the ball. And so, to answer Tony's comment here, I understand what Tony's saying, but I think it plays to our benefit that Drew Beam will not be facing Florida State. No matter what happens tomorrow, Drew Beam will be pitching against either North Carolina or Virginia on Sunday. And so neither one of those teams are as good of hitting teams as Florida State is. Virginia can hit it. They can hit the long ball. But I don't think they're as good as Florida State. You go ahead.
They may not be as hot right now, but actually, if you look at the overall NCAA statistics, 4 of the top 11 teams nationally in offense are in our bracket. We're number 1. Virginia is actually number 4 nationally.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Florida State is number 6, and North Carolina is number 11. If you look at all the statistics, offense and defense, technically the best team in our bracket after us is North Carolina. They are the number 11 offense and the number 15 defense. Florida State is number 6 offensively, but number 42 on the mound,
right,
which speaks to their bullpen issues. Virginia, and this one honestly kind of shocked me. Virginia is number 4 nationally offensively, but number 88 on the mound. So, Virginia has long been a school that has always thrived on the pitching side. And so it's interesting that they are so bad this year on the mound. So, I mean, the reality is we really need to get by Florida State and then hope we see probably Virginia and expect that it'll be a slugfest because Drew Beam tends to give up a lot of runs and they're the number 4 offense in America. But we tend to score 10 runs a game and they're the number 88 pitching staff in America. So round 2 could very much be a, hit fest.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the other comments that have come through. Mina Lucky said, "Evening, bros in chat. Welcome, Mina Lucky. Good to have you." Elijah said he tagged us in a tweet. Hey, I appreciate that, Elijah. Mr. Jones, welcome, buddy. He said, "We're number 1 for a reason." Totally agree. I mean, all right. So to his point, if you look at this bracket, here's the top half, here's the bottom half. You will notice there is only one team on this bracket that has over 50 wins this season, and that's Tennessee. They are the number 1 team in this country, and you're exactly right. Pitching and hitting, they're the best team in the country.
And statistically, I mean, when you look at these 8, we are by far statistically the best team. The next closest to us is Texas A&M. So the reality is if we show up and do what we're capable of doing, we should win this thing. Statistically, we are the best team.
I'm not sure I totally agree with the second half of Mr. Jones's comment there. He said Florida State hasn't faced the level of competition as the SEC. Well, there's 4 SEC and 4 ACC teams in this tournament. So it would seem as though that ACC must have done something right this year too. Mr. Jones said, "We're a different animal than FSU has seen all year." Papa J, welcome, Papa J. Good to see you, man. He said, "Elijah, not sure about 50, but let's hope close to that." Talking about what Elijah had said earlier. Mr. Jones said, "We beat FSU for our last 90 in football, only fitting we faced them en route to the College World Series title." Totally agree. Yeah, somebody earlier was saying their prediction feels like 98, so we're going to beat them 9-8. Another person said it feels like 98, so we're going to beat them on a peerless price touchdown pass for T. Martin. I don't know if that's going to happen in this game, but let's see. Papa J, you just hit the nail on the head, in my opinion. He said, "I hope our defense doesn't sputter." I 100% agree. The one thing that can bite us in the rear if we're not careful is allowing free bases. We cannot listen. If there's a routine play to be made at this stage, you have to make the routine play. Bottom line, you can't give up free bases in Omaha and expect to win the game. So, if there's a routine play to be made, you got to make the play.
One interesting thing to watch in the bottom half there, I guess in this case it's the top half. I meant our side of the bracket. Virginia beat North Carolina 2 out of 3 during the regular season. And in all 3 games, North Carolina's starter got ripped. The one game they won, their bullpen saved them after they had to yank the starter early. All 3 starters in that series got lit up. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues when those two face each other. If so, that Sunday game, if we win, will most likely be Virginia.
Elijah said, "We need to get Arnold off the mound before the 4th or 5th. Their bullpen's really not the best, and if we can get to it, I really like our chances." He said, Greenway, welcome, buddy. He said, "Does FSU do the tomahawk chop at baseball games?" Yes, they do. They were doing it a lot during the Super Regional. Papa J said, "Drew Beam doesn't give up runs when we don't score a lot. It just seems he does when we score a lot of runs for some reason."
Yeah, he gets real reliant on the fastball when he's got a lead, and his fastball, if it's moving, if it's a day where it's moving a lot, his fastball is really effective. If he's not getting a lot of movement, it's a home run waiting to happen.
Mr. Jones made a good point. He was talking about, the level of competition in the SEC compared to the ACC. And he said 3 of the top 4 teams are in the SEC. And he's exactly right.
Yeah.
Actually, the top 3 teams are in the SEC because number 1 was Tennessee, 2 Kentucky, 3 Texas A&M, and 4 was North Carolina. Now, I will say kudos to the selection committee because clearly they got those 4 teams right because all 4 teams made it to Omaha. And honestly, if you're in the top 4 teams in the country, you should make it to Omaha. And so, it's exciting because we can be confident that the teams we have in this field do represent the best teams in the country. And so it's exciting to know that we will have a true champion at the end of this tournament. Monica, welcome. Good to have you. She said, good evening. Glad to catch the live. We're glad you're with us too. Mr. Jones said ACC still in the back seat ranking wise anyway. And he's right. They are. Elijah said, either way, I think the final for this side of the bracket is still going to be us and FSU. I agree. I totally agree. I mean, there is a very high chance that we will have to play Florida State twice. I mean, in theory, you might end up playing them 3 times.
Of all sport, baseball and softball are probably the 2 that most closely stay to the numbers. Like there's a reason Moneyball was created. The numbers typically play out the majority of the time. And North Carolina has the deepest pitching staff of Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida State. So, in a weekend like this that, ends up being more like a 5 or 6 day series, the team with the most pitching depth is the team that's going to stay.
For sure.
So I would lean toward, if we do what we should win those first 2 games and then be sitting there on Wednesday waiting on most likely North Carolina after them, Florida State, and Virginia have just beat up on each other for several days. And whoever comes out alive limps into a game with us to face Xander Sechrist. I like those odds. I like those odds.
So we'll talk about that in a minute because it is interesting since there is so much space between the games for Tennessee. They could get very creative with their rotation. So we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's see. Green Wave referencing 98 said, I'd be okay with 23-16. However, I don't really want to give up 16 runs. I agree totally. Let's see. Herb asked a really good question. I'm going to come back to that here in just a moment when I get to the rest of these comments. Tony said, talking about defense, who do y'all think is better at defense, Amick or Bargo at third? I know Billy will play on defense. Just would like to hear your opinions. I mean, Billy's struggles didn't really seem to start happening until late in the season and in the early round of the playoffs when he made a couple errors. But, I mean, I agree with you. He's going to be out there because, I mean, you got to have his bat. And Mr. Jones said Zakai Ziegler's better at defense. I mean, you got to have his bat in the lineup for sure. So I agree with you on that. Let's go ahead.
I saw Dalton play third live this fall. To be honest, wasn't overly impressed. And I think you also have to think about where is his future. I think he's probably our starting first baseman next year.
For sure.
And I think we'll probably, unless they go get some stud out of the transfer portal, I think we'll probably see Dean Curley at third next year. So, I'm not overly concerned about who's playing third base now. Because I don't think that's Dalton Bargo's future.
Mr. Jones said we're 15 home runs away from the all-time record set by LSU, which is 188 home runs. That was in 1997 when that record was set. He's right. We sure are. It would be very difficult to reach that number in the College World Series.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do, but it'd be very difficult. Green Wave maybe has my favorite comment of the whole night. Some people down the road from me put up a Florida State flag in their yard last football season. My realtor friend said the home values dropped 15%. Thankfully, they took it down after their bowl game.
If we hit 15 home runs in the College World Series, we're the national champs.
For sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Elijah said, I'm just scared to play against Arnold. His numbers are ridiculous. That he's referencing Florida State's pitcher that will most likely be pitching tomorrow night. But I want to go back to Herb's question because this is a really good question. He said, who's your picks for the lower bracket? Not surprised by Florida being there. Too much talent. And I think that's a great point. I mean, Florida was highly ranked preseason for a reason. It's because they had talent and they just struggled putting it all together for half the season. And then the second half, well, really the last third, and then the playoffs, they finally gotten their stuff together. They're playing well now. So how do you see the bottom half shaking out, Rustin?
Again, A&M statistically is the second best team here. It'll be interesting to see how their offensive production changes without Braden Montgomery. But I think it's an A&M Kentucky hunt. If you look at statistically how these teams stack up, North Carolina State and Florida are the two worst teams in Omaha by a lot. Statistically, they're not even in the same realm as the other six teams. So, I don't foresee either of them making it very far. They are also the two worst pitching staffs of the 8 teams in Omaha by a lot. I told you Virginia is number 88 nationally. They are the third worst pitching staff there. North Carolina State is number 156 and Florida is number 158.
Dang.
Teams
That's
that
not good.
Teams with pitching staffs in the mid 100s don't stay at Omaha very long.
So it's interesting you said that because what I was going to say as far as how do I see this shaking out, first of all, Elijah said he thinks A&M's coming out of the bottom half of the bracket. I would say that you'll have Kentucky and Texas A&M win in the first round. Florida then beats NC State in the losers bracket elimination game on Monday, game 7 down there at the bottom. And I think that happens because that means that Jack Caglione would be pitching against NC State. And so I'd say Florida wins that game, but that's on Monday. Then they would have to come right back on Tuesday and play again. And they would be playing the loser of Kentucky, Texas A&M. I'm going to say Kentucky beats A&M. A&M then beats Florida. So you've got Kentucky and A&M in the championship of that half of the bracket. A&M would have to beat them twice. I think they might beat them once, but I don't think they're going to beat them twice. And so I think Kentucky advances on from this half of the bracket and to go play hopefully Tennessee in the championship series. Let's look at this real quick, though, up here at the top, because I think we can get a little interesting pitching scenarios for Tennessee here. First of all, I think it goes without being, even needed to be said, win 3 games. Like, that's what you have to do. Don't lose at all. Because if you lose, all of a sudden you go from only having to win 3 games to having to play 5 games. And you don't want to do that because if they can get through this top half of the bracket only playing 3 games, whoa, buddy. I'd pencil them in for the crown at that point, because that means that essentially all of their pitching would be on their regular rotation schedule for the championship series. But let's look at this. Obviously, we already know they've already announced that Stamos is starting tomorrow night. How many innings, Rustin, in an ideal world, how many innings do you think Stamos would throw tomorrow?
2.
Okay.
Only because I think they will try to, if he can be effective, I think they'll try to leave him out there as long as they possibly can, because Florida State's probably going to anticipate A.J. Causey and put at least 6 left-handed bats in the lineup, which plays to Stamos' strengths. And just to be candid, A.J. Causey needs to make sure his curveball's turning over very hard. Like, it doesn't need to roll over. It needs to be a decisive break. Because he has a tendency to just roll it over, and that rolls into left-handed barrels. And when he gives up home runs to left-handers, he gives up big home runs, and it's typically because the curveball just kind of turns over. So if we could get 3 innings out of Stamos, that would be awesome. If he can go through the whole lineup once, that would be wonderful.
Yep.
That would be an ideal situation.
That was going to be my answer. Ideally, I think you would want to get 3 innings out of him and have him hopefully retire 9 straight hitters. If you do that, you've got through the whole lineup. Everybody has seen him once, and then the second time through the lineup, now they're seeing a brand new arm. That would be ideal. Hopefully it happens, but that would be an ideal situation. But we know we're going to have Stamos and Kazi going tomorrow night. We know that Drew Beam will pitch Sunday, whether that's at 2:00, but hopefully at 7:00. Remember, on the screen here, you're seeing Central Times because this is off the NCAA's website, and they've posted Central Time since Omaha is Central Time. So all this times you see on here Central. Tomorrow night, Tennessee plays at 7:00 Eastern. And so, ideally, I think that you have Stamos and Kazi going tomorrow night, Drew Beam going Sunday. And let's say you win both of those games. You do not play again until Wednesday. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Would Stamos be available on Wednesday? Yes, he would. Would Kazi be available on Wednesday? Yes, he would. Because if they pitch Friday, you've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think they both would be available. Now, if you throw Xander Sechrist, which probably actually I agree with you is what will happen. If they throw Xander Sechrist on that Wednesday, then it gets a little trickier because let's say you win all 3, you go 3-0. Perfect situation, you go 3-0. You enter the 2-game or best 2 out of 3 series that weekend starting on Saturday. And then you would for sure have Stamos and Kazi going on Saturday in game 1. You would have Drew Beam going on Sunday in game 2. If Xander throws Wednesday, he would be resting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He should be available on Monday to pitch again. So in theory, the least amount of games you can play and win the College World Series is 5. 3 in your half of the bracket, and then win the first 2 in the championship series. But there is a situation where if you win the first 3 and then you go 3 games in the championship series, so you play a total of 6. Since Tennessee is in that top half of the bracket, it does play out to where they could legitimately have their starting rotation just be their starting rotation. Now, where it gets tricky is if you start losing. That's where it gets not fun. Because let's get a little hypothetical here. Let's say worst case scenario, they lose tomorrow night. So now all of a sudden you have to play 5 games to win your half of the bracket. So if they lose tomorrow night, that means Drew Beam's still pitching on Sunday. He's just pitching at 2:00 rather than 7:00. But then that means Xander Sechrist is turning around and pitching on Tuesday. So now we're back to Wednesday again. And since it, same situation for Stamos and Kazi, they'll be back on the mound on that Wednesday for sure in that situation. Because they will be on 5 days rest. But then if you win that, then you got to turn around and play again on that Thursday. And it's not like you can save an arm. No, I mean you're fighting for your life at this point. So then who's pitching Thursday? Because if
It'll be
Drew
Drew
Beam pitched,
Beam.
I mean that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, he can come back on 4 days. That's enough.
And I mean you almost have to, because like I said, at that point you're playing for your life at that point.
Yeah.
So then we get to the championship series. Xander will have pitched on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that means Xander's probably pitching game 1 on 4 days rest as well.
Yeah.
And then you get to Sunday.
Yeah, the rotation just flips at that point. Xander becomes the game 1 starter. Stamos and Kazi are game 2, and Drew Beam's game 3.
So Stamos and Kazi would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they'd be on 4 days rest. I think
They would all be.
I think you would see a lot of Stamos that game, because I mean you got to imagine Kazi's going to be throwing a whole bunch of that Wednesday game.
Yeah, but he's also a side armor. There's no wear and tear. He can go throw every day of the week if he wants to. It's different.
Yeah, I think you'd see a lot of Stamos. I mean, you'd have to see Kazi too. You'd have to. But then, so let's say they go game 3, and you got the Monday game. Drew Beam would have just pitched on Thursday. So
4
now,
days rest again.
Yep, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So in theory, worst case scenario, it's still possible. But best case scenario, you've got, well, worst case scenario, you've got Stamos and Kazi, I'm counting that as 1.
Yeah.
And Drew Beam pitching 3 games in the College World Series. And Xander pitching 2. Best case scenario, you've got Stamos and Kazi and Drew Beam pitching 2 games in the College World Series, and Xander pitching 1. That is definitely the route that we hope unfolds before us in Omaha.
The 2 guys that may see more work than normal are Kirby Cannell and Aaron Combs.
For sure.
They both get a lot of fly balls. Omaha's a huge park. Fly balls are outs, no matter where you hit them. So, you know, I think we'll see those 2 get a lot more run than typical, because they'll be very effective in that park.
So, bottom line, Tennessee just needs to win 3 games. They need to go out there, go 3-0 in their little, semi-regional bracket up there, and they need to move on and have everybody essentially at their normal rest period of time. They need to go 3-0, but we'll see what happens. I do think, once again, I think it's important to note that they got the better end of the deal here, because they've got an extra day's rest than the bottom half of the bracket. So that's definitely a good thing in their favor. What do you think happens in that top bracket? Tell me what you think game by game. What happens?
I think Tennessee wins. I think Virginia wins. And then that game 5, you've got North Carolina against Florida State. If Florida State throws Jamie Arnold against us and Connor Dorsey throws against North Carolina, I'll take North Carolina.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we beat Virginia because of their pitching depth. Then Virginia drops down. Again, pitching depth. North Carolina's is deeper. I think Carolina beats them. And then we're facing North Carolina, and they can't beat us twice. And so I think we win the first one. I think Xander shuts them down. And we're sitting there on Wednesday night waiting on Saturday.
I agree 100% with what you just said. Game by game, that is exactly what I would predict as well. Um, I think I think the North Carolina Florida State game would actually be a phenomenally good game. And I think I mean that's like okay, that was one thing about North Carolina's super regional. That super regional was fantastic. I mean, every game was just top notch stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, West Virginia, the game one of their super regional, West Virginia went into the ninth inning up by 1 run. And in the bottom of the ninth inning, North Carolina hits a solo home run to tie it. And then a couple batters later, hit a 2-run home run to win the game. So, I mean, there were serious fireworks in the bottom of that game. And then the very next night, they had that epic bases loaded situation, and they end up shutting them down and getting out of it and winning the game. I mean, that was a really, really fun series to watch. North Carolina's a good team. And so I agree with you. If 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 we beat Florida State tomorrow night, and if they throw Arnold against us, I think you're exactly correct in how it plays out the rest of the whole thing. Let's do one other scenario, and then we'll call it an evening. If you're still watching us, we got 63 folks watching right now, 36 on YouTube, 27 on X. Let us know in the comments how you see it playing out. Some of the comments that have come through, Papa J said, "Oh, they just all showed up." That was weird. Like I hadn't had a comment in like several minutes, but then like a ton of them just showed up. Papa J said, "So glad Georgia didn't make it." Mr. Jones said our last game versus Evansville, we hit a team record 7 home runs. He's exactly right. We did. A little bit different park in Omaha, though. Omaha is a huge park. Now, I will say 6 of those 7 home runs would have been home runs in Omaha, too. But one of them wouldn't have been. Elijah asked, they were 150 something out of how many teams? Is it 300 something like basketball? I believe it's 316 if I'm or maybe 318 if I remember correctly.
It's 300 even. I put it in the comments.
Oh, you already did?
Yep.
Oh, I just saw it. Like all of them just showed up on my screen for some reason. Brent, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Good to have you. Mr. Jones said we're going 5-0. We're winning the whole thing. Five games. Hey, sign me up. I'd love that. Papa J said smash that like button. I like that. That's a great idea. Let's see. I don't know if Mr. Jones said what umpire is calling balls and strikes the first game. I don't know. I don't know if that's even been announced. I doubt they will announce it until game time just to protect those umpires. Herb said, let's hope Stamos is locked in. Absolutely. If he can get 3 innings, we're sitting pretty. I mean, that's the bottom line. If he can get through 3 innings, we're sitting really, really good. Let's see. Mr. Jones said, could you imagine the staff if Chase Burns didn't burn us? Yeah, I mean, yeah. it would be unfair, actually, how good this pitching staff would be. Let's see. Big Orange, welcome, buddy. He said, go Vols. I'm hoping we beat Florida State because I got a buddy who's a Knowles fan and he made fun of me last year in football. Well, I hope we beat him too for you, bud. I sure do. Let's see. Mr. Jones said we're going to win. We're going to win. Brent said, I hope Kentucky goes 0-2. Probably, I get that. They probably won't, though, because Kentucky is a very, very good team. Big Orange said, Tennessee is the most made fun of team for losing until they realize we're good again. Then we cool again. Tony makes a good. Oh, Tony, well played, sir. He said, if need be, Nate Snead can start a game. Probably won't happen, but he could. You're exactly right. Yes, he sure could. You are 100% correct. He could start a game. I don't think they'll need him to, but he could.
I think you would actually see Dylan Loy start one before Nate Snead, because Dylan Dylan has such a funky arm angle. He could come in and keep people off balance for a couple innings and then go to Nate Snead, and it would make Nate that much better. His fastball would look harder.
True.
It's a different arm slot. It comes in, he's got a different slider. Starting somebody like Dylan Loy in front of Nate Snead would actually be a huge positive for Nate.
Agreed. Elijah said if we win game 1 against Florida State, I think we can go to the championship series. No doubt. I mean, they should win the tournament. That's the reality here. Tennessee should win this tournament. They have a better, resume, I guess you could say, and better. I mean, my goodness, what Jordan Moore? We got to get Jordan on the show. Jordan Moore tweeted out from Fan Run Radio earlier this week. Of the 8 teams in Omaha, Tennessee has the most top 100 players in the draft than any other team. They have 8. The next closest had like 3. I mean, like it's Florida State had 3. Tennessee had 8. I mean, when you look at the bottom half of the bracket, Tennessee's already beaten all these people. So, I mean, like, the NC State, I don't think we've played them yet this year. But all the rest of them, you've already beaten them. Kentucky, we beat 2 out of 3 at Kentucky. Florida, we beat 2 out of 3 at Florida. So, I mean, like, Tennessee should win this tournament. Like, that is what should happen. But you can't give up free bases, and that's the main thing there. Let's see.
If there is a team who could get away with giving up free bases, it is this team, because we do average a lot more runs than everybody else here.
Right before you mentioned that about Dylan Loy, Herb said he thinks Dylan Loy will play a role. I totally agree. I mean, dude has pitched really, really well as of late when he's been put in the games, and they know that. Like, they know how well he's playing. Let's see. Big Orange said because of was it his neighbor that was making fun of him because of Florida State? I think it said it was his neighbor. So he says pride's on the line. Yep, can't let him get toasted. Let's see. Mr. Jones said Christian Moore can take over the home run lead with 4 or 5 bombs this postseason. Let's see. Big Orange said, if we actually win this thing, man, oh man, what a feeling. We should. We should. Absolutely. Dester Wilson said, welcome, Dester. Good to have you, buddy. He said, go Vols 5-0. Hey, that's the hope, man. That is the hope. They go in there and go 5-0. That would be unreal. That would be amazing. I would love that. Elijah said he saw a stat that said out of the 32 home runs we hit in the postseason, 26 would have been gone in Omaha. Yep. But yeah, we play in a little league park. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, we're hitting home runs, but they're destroying the ball when they, I mean, like, they're not hitting like ones that are barely creeping over the fence. They're hitting them that are rockets out of the stadium. I mean, my goodness, like the ball Billy Amick hit over the batter's eye last weekend. I mean, good night. There isn't a park in the world that's going to hold that thing. Centennial Park in Atlanta wouldn't have held that. Let's see. That was a 1996 Olympics reference there for those playing along at home. Let's see. Okay, Papa J's got to let me know what he's talking about. Having 8 is a curse too. They have to be replaced.
You said they have 8 in the top 100. He's saying next year we've got to replace 8.
Oh, okay, I got you. I understand.
I would also say, though, that's what people said about this team.
Yeah.
It's done okay.
The transfer portal's game changer. That is for sure.
Did you see the Jay Johnson interview today from LSU?
No.
He made the comment. He said he was basically trying to placate LSU fans who want, the glory days with Skip Bertman. And he said, I would love to go recruit an amazing recruiting class and redshirt them all like Skip Bertman used to do. He goes, but that's just not possible anymore. He goes, you can't even build a program. You're building a season. And he said,
That's a great way of putting it.
He said, that's the way it's going to be from now on. He said, with the portal and NIL, we're all just building seasons.
That's a great way of putting it. He's exactly right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Carl. Hey, good to have you, Carl. Good to see you, bud. And he said, hot take. Christian Moore will pitch the last 3 outs of the championship game because we're up by 14.
Have you met Tony Vitello? He's a bit of a traditionalist.
I love it. Man, I hope we're up by 14 in the championship game. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Oreo Puppy Dog, welcome, buddy. He said, can't wait till game time. Go Big Orange. Absolutely. Absolutely. 7 o'clock tomorrow night, ESPN. 7 o'clock Eastern time, I should say. Let's see. I totally agree here. Big Orange said, we're going to finish with an amazing year, whatever happens. And I'm always proud to be a lifelong Vols fan from good old Rocky Top. I totally agree. I mean, this has been a successful season, in my opinion. Obviously, you don't want to go 0-2 in Omaha. Should they win it? Yeah. But, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has to go right. And, I mean, the ball has to bounce your way. No bad hops. I mean, like, there's no doubt this has been a successful year. And we definitely don't want to make Tony Vitello get upset about that again. Asking him if it's been successful or not. Big Orange said, we're going to have a good chance. Absolutely. Mr. Jones said, we want to see more home runs. That's the best one you've ever done, Mr. Jones. Kudos for you on that one, buddy. That's the best one you've ever done. Let's see. Carl said, wasn't it Hunter that hit a homer last year in Omaha? Yes, Hunter Inslee did hit a home run in Omaha last year. I believe it went over the left center field fence, if I remember correctly. Mr. Jones said, did Michigan steal any baseball signs? If they did, it didn't work because they stunk.
They were terrible.
Let's see. Tony said, like any park, the wind will be a big part as far as home runs, especially in that park. Totally agree. 100% agree. You are exactly correct. Let's see here. Elijah said, unless people actually want to play for you like everyone does with Tony V, then they'll stay as far as the transfer portal and stuff. Well, we already have one transfer leaving, a pitcher who was not pitching this year. So he's leaving, but I mean, there's already some folks, one kid from Louisville that's been mentioned. So
we got a commitment from a JUCO pitcher last
yesterday.
night that throws mid-90s.
Yep, not bad. Not bad. Mr. Jones.
He's from the Memphis area, but he's been playing at Pearl River Community College, which is a typically strong JUCO. So I'm sure he's the real deal.
Mr. Jones said, we're hoisting the hardware. I hope so. Absolutely. Carl said, does anyone know where the officiating, the umpires will be from? I don't know.
I looked it up. They haven't announced it yet.
And I can imagine that's by design. I mean, they're trying to protect those dudes' safety, physical safety. Let's see. Tennessee Junior said Cal Starks his guy. Absolutely. JL said number 1 seed, house money, baby. Let's see. Elijah said Hunter Inslee did hit a home run. It was the first pitch after Paul Skeens got off the mound. Elijah said, I've heard that the wind is going to be blowing in the first 2 days and then it'll start blowing out after that. Man, that's what I'm talking about, Elijah. He's already checking like weather forecasts and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones curious about what the chants are in the dugouts nowadays and if they have to do with the pitcher's posterior. I don't know, but the whole stadium collapsed when Billy Amick walks up to the plate. So there's that.
That's about it.
Yep. Well, so you're saying who you think comes out of the bottom half? I can't remember. A&M?
A&M.
You think? All right. So Ruston has going into this tournament, which starts tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern. North Carolina and Virginia play at 2:00 Eastern. Tennessee plays tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Both games tomorrow on ESPN. And so going into this tournament, Rustin's prediction is Tennessee and Texas A&M in the championship series. I've got Tennessee and Kentucky in the championship series. Who do you think wins it all, Rustin?
I've said it from the start. I said it before the regional started. We're the best team in the tournament, and we should win it. We're the best team
Agreed.
statistically. We're the best team talent-wise. We're the number one team in America. We've won more games than anybody else in the country. We are the best team in America. And I don't want to say it's not a success, but it'll definitely be a letdown if we don't win it because we are the best team in every statistical way.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Let's see. Carl said, how cool would it be? Let me find it. He said, how cool would it be to see Charlie Taylor hit a homer? I mean, that'd be awesome. But I don't think Charlie's going to see the field during the College World Series. But if we're up by 14, then maybe.
Yeah. You're going to have to show up for batting practice to see that happen.
Elijah said, I'm an aspiring meteorologist. Hey, that's cool. He said, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm talking about, man. Well, you're going to have to be our weather guy on here. You're going to have to keep us informed on that. But Carl, yeah, man, if they're up by 14, like you said, then you might see Charlie Taylor getting a game. Absolutely. Let's see. Elijah said Tennessee and A&M in the championship. Tennessee wins in 3 games. I'd be cool with that. Let's see. Ricky, hey, welcome, Ricky. Good to have you, buddy. He said, jumping in here late, just hope that if the long ball goes cold in Omaha, that we'll still have the ability to win with small ball, which I haven't seen much. So what's interesting is that the small ball in that park will be like doubles.
Right.
Doubles in the gaps and stuff like that. And which, if Tennessee's hitting line drives, they got a chance. If they're hitting the moon shots, then they'll have time to camp under them. But I agree with you. Absolutely. Just win, right? I mean, like whatever it takes, just win. Big Orange said,
Tears, this stadium plays well for Kavaris Tears. He hits a lot of gappers. He hits a lot of balls down lines. Doubles everywhere else are going to be triples here for him. And he could have a huge week.
Absolutely. Big Orange said, come on, boys, let's rock Omaha. Like he said, happy birthday to me. I appreciate that. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I appreciate that very much. I'm hoping that the Vols win as a birthday present to me. I'm going to tweet that at them tomorrow, actually. So I appreciate that very much. Carl said, Vols by 50, baby. Great call, Rustin. Let's see. Tony said, just check several days of good chance of rain. Oh, that stings. That stings. Let's see. Herb said, believe Inslee, Kavaris Tears, bottom of the lineup, but will determine how far we go. I totally agree with that for sure. I mean, if they're playing well and hitting the ball well, oh man, nobody's going to beat us. That's exactly right.
It'll be interesting to see who they DH. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cannon Peoples so that he hits right-handed. I don't like Dalton Bargo against Jamie Arnold. I think he'll carve him up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cannon Peoples DHs so they can hit from the right side.
Elijah said, happy early birthday, Evan. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Mississippi Vols said, happy birthday, Evan. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Carl said, happy birthday, Evan. Hey, appreciate you, Carl. You're the man, buddy. Thank you. Big Orange said, happy birthday, brother, and go Vols. Woo, absolutely. I appreciate it. JL's like, we play good in the rain. Bring it on. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that's good stuff. Well, I think all eyes in Big Orange Nation, Vol Nation, Big Orange Country will be looking at the North Carolina-Virginia game tomorrow at 2. Because we're going to play one of those two teams on Sunday, one of the two of them. And so hopefully we're playing the winner Sunday night. That's the hope. Because tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, ESPN is where it's going to be at. Mr. Jones said, "Happy birthday." Hey, I appreciate that, Mr. Jones. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Rusted, any last thoughts before we sign off?
We do play well in the rain, but it's because we have a turf field. Charles Schwab Field's grass, and so if it rains hard, they're just postponing. They will not play. That place is pristine. They won't mess that field up. So I highly doubt we'll see anything happen in the rain.
Yep. Dester said, "Happy birthday, Evan." Hey, appreciate that so much. Carl, you're the man, buddy. He said $20 super chat for Evan's birthday vasectomy. My wife will get a kick out of that. Actually, she'll appreciate that. Maybe I need to go have that done.
I hope you pay more than $20.
Yeah, definitely. That is not where you want to skimp on quality there. So I appreciate that very much, Carl. You're very kind, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Mr. Jones said we play well in the rain because it's raining home runs. Absolutely. Mina Laggy said I need to set off the balloons or the fireworks. I think it deactivated on my it deactivated. Yours deactivated too. We both so yeah. We'll have to work on that for next time. Oh, there it is. Their birthday confetti right there. That's what I'm talking about. Birthday confetti. Nice. That is actually really, I like that actually. The fireworks, how it turns everything dark and makes them go. That's pretty cool. The confetti was cool too, because whoever did that, kudos to them, because part of it looked like it was coming down in front of you and the other part looked like it was going behind you. So that gives dimension to it. That's pretty cool. That's the graphic designer coming out in me there. Herb said the rain not supposed to start till Tuesday, maybe, but like 5 straight days of rain. So here's the thing though about that. Oreo Puppy Dog said, "I want us to set the national home run record so bad." That would be amazing. Absolutely. Carl said, "So proud of these guys. I really believe they'll fight their way through." Elijah said, "Now we just needed to go all over the desk so it can be more realistic." There you go, the confetti. But Carl's right. I'm super proud of this team too. And Mina Lackey, she was proud of you. She was like, "All right," when you started doing it. So there was a comment that I wanted to talk. Oh, it was Herb's comment. He said 5 straight days of rain. So here's the thing. Let's say that exactly what Herb posted here happens. Let's say that it doesn't rain until Tuesday. In theory, that could honestly end up helping Tennessee too, because now your pitching is resting even more. And Tennessee does have the best pitching staff in Omaha. I mean, like statistically, that's the case. So theoretically, if it rains and games get delayed, certain days or whatever, you're just resting your starters even more. So, I mean, that's actually that wouldn't be that bad of a thing, really.
Yeah.
That could be pretty good. Mr. Jones said we're 1 grand slam away from tying the record at 13 grand slams. Yeah, I hope that happens for sure. For sure. That is a record that we could potentially break for sure. Well, thank you all. Let's see. Carl said, "Who can throw a wet ball well?" I mean, I don't know. Hopefully all of them, but
they won't hurt the product.
Yeah,
they won't hurt the product. They won't let them play in the rain for long at all. If it looks steady at all, they'll stop the game.
And the city of Omaha would like that too. The city of Omaha is probably hoping for rain, because that means even more money coming into that city for longer. Yeah, I figured that's what he was saying. I appreciate it. Yep. I just don't know. I mean, of our guys, I don't know who that would be.
Pitchers who throw a lot of 2-seam fastballs don't like rain, because it already has a lot of movement. It's harder to control. Four seam fastballs where you're touching two
Yeah.
seams on every pitch, easier to control, not a big deal in the rain. AJ Causey would not be good in the rain because his fastball is always a two seam, and his curveball, because of the arm slot of where it comes from, he's grabbing a seam on the side of the ball. So it's very difficult. He almost has to pull it all the way across his body. So it's very difficult to hold on to. So we definitely don't want it raining when AJ Causey's pitching.
Well, like you said, 90-something% of pitchers, if it's wet, all of a sudden, if they've been throwing two seam fastballs, they're all throwing four seam fastballs now. And just so we're clear, four seam fastballs, yeah, the velocity probably picks up a little bit because you have more seams cutting through the air. But the downside of it is it doesn't move as much. And so it's just a flat fastball. So unless you're like Ben Joyce and you're throwing it 104 miles an hour, if it's in low to mid 90s and you're throwing a four seam fastball, it's just straight and people can tee off on it. So,
Yeah.
But hope, like you said, the city of Omaha wants it to rain because that just means more money for them over more days. I mean, let's be honest, that's what it means. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it is like you said, we'll all be checking the weather for sure. It's going to be fun. That's for sure. I know that. Just like Andy Bernard said, I wish we would know we were in the good old days before the good old days were gone. Well, we're in it right now. This is an incredibly just historic run that Tennessee athletics as a whole is on, but especially the baseball team. I mean, there's never been anything like this in the history of Tennessee baseball. This many years consecutively of having this much success. So, kudos to Tony Vitello. Kudos to the athletic department. Let's enjoy it, man. Let's enjoy it while it's happening. Carl said, I'm glad that we have a lot of guys that have been there. For sure. Absolutely. There's people that when they walk, and that's a really good point because I've never been there, but I would venture to guess that when you step on that field as a player for the first time in Omaha for the game, it's a like a pinch me kind of moment. And I'm sure it's overwhelming stepping out there for the first time. So Carl's right. It's a good thing we've had dudes that have stepped on that field and played on that field before.
Yeah.
Herb said, guarantee FSU hasn't seen a pitcher like Causey. I mean, probably not. We'll see. Elijah said Tony V is only the beginning of a dynasty in Knoxville. I agree. Like he said, thanks for all your insight. Hey, we appreciate that. Thank you for watching all the time. We love it when we have, we feel like we know y'all because we get to interact with you so much on here. I love that. It's awesome. Oreo Puppy Dog said I hunted near there 2 years ago and in the evening it gets windy. I mean, real windy. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones said Tennessee's chasing championships in all sports. They sure are. You're right. Carl made a good point. He said, remember 3 years ago, Tennessee was starstruck when they stepped on the field. Got off to a little bit of a slow start. Yeah, that's right. Herb said, when is the next live? Herb, I'm glad you asked because we hadn't talked about that. And Sunday's Father's Day. And hopefully Tennessee will be playing while we would normally be live. Rustin, you want to do Monday just to be safe? Or will you be gone Monday?
I'm out of town Monday through Wednesday. Thursday would be better. And that'll be after anything that's happened.
Okay. So you want to wait till next Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll wait till next Thursday. We'll probably put out like a YouTube short or something after the game Sunday night. We'll have both of us do a talking head or something like that. And we'll post them. So we'll wait till next Thursday. We'll definitely know what's going on then, for sure. So, like you said, the feeling is mutual. I speak for both of me. We appreciate that. Thank you. Well, we hope all of you have a great evening. We hope all of you are celebrating a Big Orange victory tomorrow night. Game 1 is huge. It's always the most important game, always. And so You got to win game one. You got to win game one. So let's hope that happens. Carl said Thursday it is, fellas. Thanks, Evan and Rustin. Hey, we appreciate that, Carl. Thank you so much, man. Like you said, next Thursday, absolutely. We hope you're here with us again. Absolutely. Elijah said, hoping we can celebrate a championship series berth on Thursday. That's exactly right. Yes. 100%. 100%. And then Herb said, thank you guys. Hey, we appreciate you, Herb. Thank you so much, man. We hope all of you have a great evening. Go Vols, and we will see everybody a week from tonight, next Thursday. JL said we're about to light FSU up. Man, I hope so. Put some numbers up on that scoreboard. That's the hope. And keep theirs off. Carl said, hit the like. Totally agree. Fantastic advice. Mr. Jones said, let's go. Absolutely. Thank you all so much. We really do appreciate all you. And we will see you all a week from tonight, next Thursday. Have a great evening, everybody.